Hello, Internet! Welcome to 2.5 Brains. This is our Survivor Season 44 premiere recap show. We're talking all about it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. If you like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Prod on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Pavement Road Prod. Email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends, and let us know what you think of the episode and of our show. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a moment. First things first, obviously we're getting this out a little late. The first two episodes we were a little behind on, so we're going to watch the premiere. We're going to do a podcast about that one. Watch the second episode, record about that one, and then watch the third one, and record about that one. The third one should be out. They should be out within a couple of days of each other, and we should be caught up really by the weekend of the third one. So that's the weekend of mid-March here, the 20th. So we should have all the shows out pretty much by the 20th of March, all three of them, and then we'll be back to our normal schedule. Obviously, we were on vacation the first week or so, and so we couldn't watch the first two episodes when they aired. So we're gonna get them out to you here. Record the first two, like I said, get those out within a week or so, and then the third one will be out a couple days after that episode airs, and then we should be back to recording pretty much immediately following the episode going forward. So be sure to subscribe, like I said, so you don't miss anything, and we'll get them out to you. And like I said, we'll try to get them out pretty much from episode 4 on. We should be getting them out as they air, pretty much the same night as they air. This week will just be me, probably week 2, but just be me as well. And then Jessica should be back week 3 as we get started here. So a little format change. I wanted to let you know about that. First of all, we're gonna do what we have been doing. It's gonna be the 3 moments that matter, which is, again, if you're new to the show, it's the 3 moments that are most important to the episode, but also a little bit bigger version, so a little bit bigger view, I guess you can say, looking at the series as a whole. So how does this change? How does what happened in this episode affect the series as a whole, whether it's positively, negatively, or just like hey, this is a new thing they're doing, they've never done it before, and kind of talk about that a little bit as we go through. So the 3 moments that mattered, so those 3 things. We're then going to talk about who did not survive, what they did wrong, what they could have done differently. A little bit weird for the first 2 people out here, a little bit things that are a little bit you don't normally see happen, especially on the first tribal council and the first people eliminated. And then we're going to talk about the player who had the worst week. And I'm introducing a little bit of a different format, more of a point system, if you will. So the worst player of the week, whoever had the worst week, it's subjective, of course, but I'm going to give -2 points to the person who had the worst week, and then I'm going to go through the rest of the cast, save for the person who got voted out and the top person for the week, and everybody else who's not the top or bottom person of the week or the person who got voted out. Everybody else will be ranked either plus or a minus, or a thumbs up or thumbs down. Each person gets 1, and that's it. There's not going to be any neutral, not going to be... Some will be, very... it'll be hard to give them a negative, hard to give them a positive, but I'm going to give them 1. I'm not going to give them any neutrals. And then they get a point for being positive, a thumbs up, a negative for being a thumbs down. And then the top player of the week will be last, and they get 2 points for being the top player of the week. So I want to do this. I've been wanting to kind of track it for a few seasons now, looking at, okay, well, who was the best player this week, this season? Was it Jesse last season? Was it Carla? Was it Cody? Who was it? And of course, it's objective. It's how I feel. So it's not anything that's scientific. But I think it'll be fun to kind of track and see who really is the best player. And then obviously of the final 4 players left, who did the best? If it's the final 3 and it's a bad winner, well, of the 3 people left, they had 7 positive points. And the next person had 3, and the next person was -1. I can kind of track that a little bit throughout the season and see how it goes. So that's what we're going to do. Obviously, be sure to subscribe so you get all this, and we'll get out to you, like I said, pretty much right away going forward, obviously, once we get through the first 2 weeks. So, and then the third week a little bit too. But let's be sure to subscribe so we do all that, and let's go ahead and dive in here as we do. We'll talk about 3 moments that mattered, and we'll start with moment number 1. 3 injuries in the first 3 days. So this was, the first season, or the first, episode. There have been injuries in the past. There have been serious injuries in the past where people had to get pulled from the game. I remember, in Heroes vs. Villains, I think it was the first episode, when Stephanie in the first challenge dislocated her shoulder, got popped back in, was fine. And then if you remember on One World, season 24, Courtney Moon fell. She they had to jump off onto like a platform, and she fell awkwardly, broke her wrist, and she got pulled from the game. And then Pat Cusack got injured on the boat on the way back from a challenge, and he got hurt, and he had to get pulled from the game. So I guess you get somebody pulled from the game from your tribe. The first episode, I guess you win the game. But crazy this week. You had the first challenge, opening challenge. They had to crawl underneath a. It wasn't even a net. It was like a little, like wooden structure, kind of like almost like a ladder that you like jump through, like for like agility. And he went and Bruce went to dive underneath it, and he hit his head, and cut his head open, was bleeding, blood rushing on his face, and he ended up getting through it. And then as the challenge went on, the blood was pouring on his face, and Jeff's like, "You okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Yeah, okay, of course he's fine. Stupid. And then they had to pause the challenge because he started feeling like dizzy. They had medical come take a look at him, and they got his heart rate back up after staying for a little bit, and he seemed to be okay. So they let him continue the challenge and went from there. They had the opening challenge where you get your supplies, and if you don't do it, you have to earn it. The next time, when you're back to camp, which was a good one this time because the second place got to pick which one they wanted, and the third place got whatever was left. So the one team picked the brawn one, leaving the other one for the brain one, and the brain one seemed to be pretty simple, so they got it right. Then the other one, the brawn one, took forever, but they did eventually get it as well. So everybody got their supplies eventually. But so the first injury, day one, was Bruce smacking his head. Seemed like a pretty serious injury, but they kind of somewhat brushed it off, which was interesting. And then second one, I think it was the second day, Matthew, I think it is. There's a Matt and a Matthew. Matthew is the older guy, and then Matt's the younger guy. Matthew was, he's really excited to go play and everything like that, and he wanted to run around in this other little island, and he wanted to climb up on the rocks. And he climbed up on the rocks to look around, and he slipped and fell, and popped his shoulder out, and then cut his foot. So medical came out, took a look at him. Basically, his arm was in a sling, and they basically had to put his arm in a sling, demobilize his arm for a little bit, basically for the rest of the challenge. Similar to the injury Tyson got when he played his season that he won. And then they basically wrapped his foot, make sure nothing got infected. And then the third one was at the actual immunity challenge. Brandon, it was very physically during challenge, and he basically did the whole physical part himself. And he got really dehydrated, lightheaded, and he basically passed out. And medical came and tended to him, and he couldn't finish the challenge. But they let him, rest, and then of course the team had no chance once he was sitting out to finish the challenge, and they of course lost. But it was very interesting to have three medical situations, and all three of things we've kind of seen him when Aris fell on his season. It was the final two. I think he was walking around on the beach drinking some wine with Danielle in the final two, and he slipped and fell and cut himself and hurt his back. That would have been crazy if the final two person gets medevac and you're down to person wins by default. Just for literally surviving. But so that was the three moments that mattered, and that's where we left off. So 3 moments that mattered. We'll talk more about the Bruce one a little later, but that was moment number one that mattered. So moment number two that mattered is new advantages. So obviously we heard of the bird cage advantage. We weren't really sure how it was going to work, and actually it isn't really at camp. It's more at near the well, I guess, by Tree Mill, and it's a bird cage with a lock on it. So you have to find the key to be able to unlock it, it seems to be adding more complication that it really needs to have. You need to hide the key. I really hate the whole scavenger hunt through the jungle crap. Just have it open and then in the middle of camp. So people will basically have to get people away from camp to get it. In this case, they had to find a key. And they're looking for, I think Brandon and Maddie found it, and they weren't really working together. But Brandon found it, and he's like, well, I want to, what do you want to do? Let's tell everybody. And Maddie's like, I don't think it's a good idea, blah, blah, blah. Let's just keep the secret between the two of us. And, and Brandon's like, it's kind of he doesn't really trust her. So he decided to tell everybody, and they all came by. He opened it because he figured it's a thing for the whole tribe to use, and it has an idol. So it's an idol that only he can use. So he took that and he put it in his pocket, and everybody's like, oh, cool, an idol. Well, now we all know you have it. So it didn't really work out too well for him. We'll talk about that more later. The other thing was when they had to go to the prisoner's dilemma thing, similar before, they had to go walk on a journey, talk a little bit, go to make a private decision. And in this case, all three have to pick something out of a bag. So they pick something out of the bag to either get an advantage, they either lose their vote, or they, and again, this is the first time, so maybe it's going to be different each time. I don't know. They either get an advantage, they lose their vote, or they lose 2 votes. So after they pick something out of the bag, if they get something, obviously they're done. If they lose their vote, they get a chance to risk it again for something else, or lose their vote. Lose their vote for 2 tribal councils. So what ended up happening was, one person reached in, grabbed it. I believe it was Lauren reached in. She grabbed the advantage, and it was a new advantage we've never heard of before. Another new advantage, and it was the vote bank, which we've kind of seen it before. I think Lauren Rimmer got it, something similar to that. Actually, another Lauren on Ben's season. But it was basically, you don't vote at the tribal council, and then you just take the vote parchment and save it for have an extra vote next time, or for a future tribal council. Then the other one, I think it was Sarah. Yeah, Sarah. Sarah got she risked her vote and lost on the first vote, then went to risk it again, and got the advantage the second time. So lost her vote once, then got the advantage, and it was basically like it's an advantage collector. I don't remember what they called it, but I think it's called the inheritance advantage. Yeah, it's called the inheritance advantage. So basically, what seems like based on what they said, if you play your inheritance advantage, I don't know when you have to play or how you play it. Didn't really go into details on that, but you play your advantage, and then any advantages played at that tribal council, you get to keep. So you can basically get them after they're played, which is interesting. So kind of a convoluted thing. I don't know how it's going to play out, but we'll see. It's interesting. And then obviously Matt went and Matt lost his vote, so he risked it again and lost his vote again. So he lost 2 votes. Next two tribal councils he can't vote. But two new advantages, which is interesting. We'll see how it plays out. But three total new advantages that were introduced this game this season. I like when they try new things. I don't like when they don't think them all the way through. And obviously, way too many advantages already in the game. We'll see how the idols play out. Maybe the only idols in the game are the ones in the birdcage, which would be better, because at least that way there's not 75 idols. But so far, interesting, at least in theory. We'll see how they play out. And third moment that mattered is how the tribal council went. So the tribal council was three votes total, 2 shots in the dark, and 1 idol play. So that's the third moment that matters. So at the tribal council, the team that lost had to go, and so it was pretty crazy because I think Heidi played her shot in the dark, and then also Matthew played the shot in the dark, and then Lauren didn't vote. She used her vote bank and held on to it. So it was literally only 3 people voting, and Brandon wanted to get rid of Maddie because he didn't trust her, because of the whole, should we tell the tribe or keep a secret thing, and he thought she should have been, willing to tell the tribe, so he didn't trust her, so he wanted to vote her out. And then Maddie wanted to vote out Brandon because he's the biggest threat in the game. We got to get rid of him. And Kane was the only one who was left. I guess, I don't know if he knew he was going to be the only one who was left, but he decided to wait, and he was basically the swing decision. He was the swing vote. So when Matthew played a shot in the dark, he was not safe, and then Heidi played her shot in the dark. And for the first time ever, the person who played a shot in the dark was safe. Heidi was safe. She had immunity. She didn't need it. She wasn't gonna. It didn't seem like she even was a threat to go home. But she played her shot in the dark, so very strange. But she did it. Congratulations to her for being safe. And then I don't think anybody knew, but Lauren used her advantage and didn't vote or anything. So three total votes were cast, and Brandon decided last minute that he's going to play his idol, the one that he found out in the open. So he played his idol, and the votes are for Brandon, doesn't count. Brandon doesn't count, and then Maddie, which is the one that does count. So Maddie gets voted out with 1 vote at the first tribal council. Pretty crazy. It never happened before that the person at the first tribal council goes out with 1 vote, but it happened in this case. Maddie was the first person voted out, second person eliminated from the game, because the at the end of day one, whenever they go back to the beach, not after tribal council, but on a random evening, something bad is probably going to happen because they go back to the camp on day one and night one, and Bruce starts to feel his headaches start coming back from when he hit his head. So medical comes by, they're checking him out, and they decide, yeah, we need to get him some medical attention. His headaches are not good. He may have concussion. Let's get him some medical attention until they pull Bruce from the game. So Bruce gets pulled from the game day one, and then obviously Maddie gets voted out day three. So the first two people out of the game are Bruce and Maddie. And those are the three moments that matter. Let's go and talk about who did not survive and why. Obviously, Bruce did not survive. He survived the game. But, he got home. He got medical attention. He's doing well. He's fine. They're getting ready for another old injured guy season. And Bruce is going to come back and play again. You want to know why I know that? Because Jeff loves those dudes. Jeff loves the dudes who get hurt in challenges for going too hard. Guys who have bigger hearts than brains. He obviously Caleb Reynolds came back, right, to play again. He got evacuated in his season from his injury, from getting hurt in the challenge. And then Russell Swan came back and he got injured in the challenge. And, it's funny because that season he had Joe get pulled because he was old and had digestive problems. You had Neil get pulled because his wounds got infected. And then you had Caleb get pulled from getting hurt in the challenge. Well, who got to come back and play again right away? Caleb, right? So, we've had other people get injured. Pat deserves another shot. I mean, there's no doubt. Why would he not get another shot after didn't get a chance to play? He got pulled from the game because of a fluke injury on a boat that he had no control over. So he should be brought back, right? Bruce, again, he went hard in the challenge, hit his head, and medical, probably could have done more for him than they did. But he obviously got a concussion or at least a head injury and was pulled from the game due to that. So obviously, Jeff's gonna bring him back, even though they don't bring back people who, get hurt in other ways. But I definitely have a feeling Bruce will be back. So Bruce pulled from the game, and then Maddie voted out. So there's two people out of the game. What did Maddie do wrong? What Bruce was wrong is he hit his head in a challenge, and then medical didn't do a good job taking care of him, and Jeff didn't do a good job taking care of him. What did Maddie do wrong? Maddie, I think, only thing really I can say Maddie did wrong is she tried to hit out the biggest threat. On day one, and in her defense, it worked because only 3 people voted. 2 of them were for her target, right? So if Brandon plays idol, Maddie gets her way and he gets voted out. So she convinced Kane to vote with her. The only thing I would say she did wrong is not making sure that her alliance was solid, because I don't know who was in her alliance. I feel like Matthew may or may not have been. Heidi probably should have been. I think Heidi probably was. And then Lauren probably was. But 2 of them didn't vote. Right? So, if you're only trying to flip the vote onto Kane, or you and Kane are trying to vote against Brandon, that's great, but you need more than 2 people to do it. So if the other ones voted, who knows what happens. But maybe they all pile on Brandon. Maybe they vote her out. Who knows? We'll never know. But that's the only thing I would say Maddie did wrong is, if you're going to vote, take somebody out, make sure you know where all the votes are going. Because people are saying, oh, I'll definitely vote with you. And then they're all playing their shots in the dark or not voting. You don't have a good pulse of what's going on in the game. The only person who did voted with her. So she had the right ally vote with her. And she had the numbers to vote out Brandon, even though it was only 2-1. But obviously he played the idol, and and also if you're targeting the person with the idol, you got if you come for the king, you can't miss, right? If you're taking a shot at the king, you can't miss, and she missed. She knew he had an idol. Like, it's too big of a move to make too early. Like, I would have much rather took out Matthew, right? He hurt himself. Obviously, she wanted to work with him, but he hurt himself. He wasn't going to do anything for them in the challenge. He had to sit out of the challenge because he hurt himself. And you're going to take out the best challenge competitor, and he has an idol. It's way too big a risk to do this early, and obviously she got burned by it. So that's why she lost. And finally, let's go ahead and talk about the top play of the week, the bottom play of the week, and then the, let's say, the thumbs up, thumbs down for the rest of the cast. So this season, the first moment of the season was very awkward. Pretty cringy, actually. It started with a confessional. Before anything else was established, for any other shots, it was Carolyn sitting there talking to a producer, and he says, "All right, this is an easy one. Tell me about you." And she says, I don't know what to say." And it was very weird. And Carolyn is very weird. She's my bottom player of the week. Not for anything she did right or wrong. I mean, it had zero to do with gameplay. She's just too weird to win the game. And I know I said Marianne was, too weird and whatever, but Marianne, at least, I don't know. Carolyn just is just a wacko. She's just a weirdo. And, I don't think she even played the worst game this week. But as far as, who's at the, we didn't get to meet a ton of characters, so it's hard to even really rank a lot of them this early. But Carolyn I think she's just too weird. She's definitely Nora. She made me more intense Nora. Like, Nora was weird, but a lot of times I think she kind of stuck to herself. She'd be spinning around in a circle by herself. I think Carolyn is just, intense and loud and weird, which is, a bad combination. We're bored, you're entertaining, but we're also hungry and hangry and sleep deprived, and you're being annoying. I really think she's got really no chance to win. Obviously, I've been proven wrong before. But Carolyn's my bottom player of the week for that reason. So she gets 2 negative marks against her. So 2, she's a double negative. So she's two under par, if you want to say. But in this case, you want to be above par. So I don't know, but she's 2 thumbs down for Carolyn to start off. Let's go to everybody else, and then I'll finish up with my top player of the week. So here we go. Josh. Week 1, Josh. I'm giving Josh a plus or a thumbs up. He did really well in the challenge. Got a couple confessionals. Wasn't a ton on the screen. Didn't go to tribal council, so didn't have wasn't a huge part of the storyline. But it's always good to win the first immunity challenge. He did so, and so good for him. Josh getting a plus. Next, we're gonna go to Helen. Helen, I'm gonna give her a thumbs down just because she was. They said that she did well in the first challenge in the challenge where they had to use their brains and all that. So I mean, she's fine, but didn't really do much. And I think she's just seems very nice and very just like a typical wallflower player, kind of like Schwadi from that season. I think there's a season that I think that was the season that Marianne won. I think. Yeah, she just kind of didn't really do anything. Was kind of just sitting there, just not really part of the game. And then eventually made a move. People wait, what are you doing? And they get rid of her. I kind of see it as Helen. Obviously, she got a couple confessionals. She did okay in the challenges, but I just don't think she's kind of I'm the smart Asian person, and yeah, we know. It's she's not fooling anybody. I don't think she might be pretty strategic. Kind of like Kelly Kim was a pretty strategic player, but also may overplay too. I don't know. We'll see. So Matthew, yes. I'm trying to keep the 2 straight. Yeah. So Matthew, I'm giving him a negative as well. Thumbs down as well. Because he almost got hurt. He seems like he has enough social bonds to keep himself in the game. He looked like a lot of people did want to work with him, which is a good thing. But I do fear a little bit that he's going to. I mean, he almost got hurt, almost got pulled from the game, and he got injured, so he wasn't an asset in the challenges at all. I would have voted him out. If it was me, I would have voted him out. Obviously, he's nice. I want to work with him. Great. I wouldn't have kept him. I would. He got hurt. Easy first vote. As long as it's not me. Small tribe. Let's not rock the boat too much. I would have got rid of him. Obviously, he stayed in the game, but and then he played a shot in the dark, which again is fine, and maybe he did feel like he needed it, but he blew it. He blew it on vote 1. Episode 1, he used a shot in the dark, so now I can't use it the rest of the season. He may need it down the line, and he can't use it now. So, next, Sarah. So Sarah, I'm giving a plus. She did lose her vote, but seemed to be making good bonds and got an advantage that could be a big advantage for later in the game. Obviously, losing a vote is never good, but in this case, they don't have the choice not to risk their vote. They have to risk their vote. As far as I can tell, I haven't heard anything otherwise. But she did get something decent out of it. Only lost 1 vote, and it seems like she's in a pretty good spot in her tribe. So I'll give her a thumbs up. Carson, I'm gonna give a thumbs up to as well. Again, he didn't want to be the nerd who stepped up to do the challenge, but they said no, we trust you, and he's pretty self-deprecating. He said he never had a girlfriend, and they're like, oh, you're so awesome, we like you. and he seems to be building some pretty good bonds. I'll add kind of John Cochran a little bit. So I get a little bit of the Cochran vibe from him. Obviously Christian Hubicki as well, definitely. But I feel like Carson is one of those people who is going to be smart enough to stay back, but has enough, I think, social skill to make some decent bonds. So I'll give Carson a thumbs up. Franny, I was on the fence about here. I'm going to give her a thumbs up ultimately. The previous next episode had me very, very worried for her because, if she gets into showmance, it's terrible, especially for the woman. But she seemed to be doing at least somewhat, of a decent job making bonds and like that. So, not much to go on, but I'm going to give her a thumbs up just for that. But I definitely think I can definitely see that changing next week. If she gets a if she gets into a showman, so it looks like there might happen. So Kane, I'm giving him a thumbs down. He was a swing vote. He really, he was kind of between the two votes, and he says if we're gonna vote for Brandon, we got to make sure we get rid of him, because if he comes back, he plays an idol and he comes back to camp and we all voted for him, it's gonna be really bad. Well, that's exactly what happened. So I don't know necessarily if it's he did something wrong or he made the wrong decision, but if you say that if this happens, it's bad, and then that happens, you can't get credit for it because it's bad, because you saw it coming and you still made a mistake. So I'm gonna give Kane a thumbs down for that. Also because he's Canadian. Lauren, I'm giving a thumbs down only because she got the advantage, which is great, but I think I'm pretty sure it was Claire. Yeah. So Claire set out their immunity challenge with Matthew, and she was talking to him. She said, "Hey, psst, psst, psst," and Matthew looked over. She goes, "Did your person who came back from the excursion or whatever, did they show you anything?" And he goes, "No. Why?" Claire goes, "Oh, because our person came back and they showed us a parchment that said you lost your vote." So Claire kind of blew up Lauren's spot a little bit. So now Matthew knows that if Claire said she lost her vote, because and Lauren, I should say, Lauren was smart about it, because she said she was gonna, play her advantage, or she said she lost her vote, so she couldn't vote, which she was planning on not voting, because she was going to do the vote. So that going forward could be really helpful, because now she has 2 votes. But Matthew's onto her now, because she said she lost her vote, but she didn't show any paperwork saying she lost her vote. So if he's smart, he knows that she's lying. So we'll see how that works out. Granted, now she's in a tribe of 5, and she has 2 votes. So literally, she just pull over one person to at least force a tie. So who knows? Who knows how that's going to play out? But so going forward, it could be a good move. She could be a good spot going forward. But the fact that at least Matthew and probably other people now know that she was probably lying about what happened hurts. So I'm giving her a thumbs down for that reason. But she could still get a thumbs up, because she lied that she was going to vote and she didn't. And she has now an extra vote going forward, which could be helpful. But again, maybe she goes next time, loses her vote, so she has to use that one as her whatever. But I think it could be good. It could have gone the way with Lauren, but I give her a thumbs down just because of that, because she kind of got caught in a lie. It helps her case that she didn't vote, so it doesn't seem like she's lying as much. And if Matthew thinks that she's lying, she say, "Oh yeah, I lost it," or whatever. I dropped it when I got the vote. And maybe that suffices, because she didn't vote. Next, Yam Yam. Yam Yam, I'm going to give him a thumbs up. He's very fun, very energetic. And again, seems to be making decent bonds. Not a ton of airtime for him, obviously. Again, if you don't go to Tribal Council, you don't get a ton of airtime. Obviously, it was a 2-hour episode, but all the injury stuff really cut into that as well. So I don't have a ton for him, but I'll give him a couple of thumbs up for that. Obviously, every week when the person does go out of the game, I'm not going to talk about them. I'm going to talk about them why they lost, and I'm going to skip over them for the plus or minus. I give you what their total was, I guess, when they went out. If they went out +1, +2, down, -2, whatever. But that'd be fun. But Maddie, obviously, doesn't matter. She's out of the game. Bruce, obviously, doesn't matter, out of the game. Claire, I'm giving a +2. And really just for that thing. Just for that, hey, and maybe we shouldn't get a good vibe off Lauren. I don't know why she kind of blew up Lauren's spot, but making it, maybe even sowing that distrust a little bit in the other tribe, I think is a good thing. She sat out. She, her person came back and showed her I lost my vote thing, and so she was able to use that and be like, hey Matthew, did your person show you that they lost a vote? And it's maybe a move that didn't need to be made, maybe, but at the very least, maybe it just stirs up a little bit of distrust in a rival tribe, and that could help. That could help. So I'm gonna give her a plus and a thumbs up for that. Matt B, tall Matthew with the big hair. He's gonna have a minus. Obviously this week, he did okay in the challenges and everything else, but he's gotta get a thumbs down because he lost his vote and then he went like, well, I lost my vote. Let me try again. And he lost the vote again. So after you lose your vote the first time, you can stop. You don't have to keep going. But like, well, he did a little sunk cost fallacy, right? I already lost my vote, so let me get a reward for losing my vote. And he lost another vote. So can't vote the next two tribal councils. Not smart. But again, I understand you want to take the risk. But also people, and I hate it's day 3. This game's all about taking risks, making big moves. No, it's not. It's actually about surviving to the end. Because look at the last several winners. Right? In the modern, in the post 40 era, the players who win the game don't do anything. They just hang on long enough to win. Right? So don't make moves. Actually don't do that. Actually do nothing. I've never been more proponent of the sleep for the 15 days than I am now, especially now the game's only 26 days. Don't get on anybody's bad side. Be always in an alliance, and don't make any moves because if you do, you're gonna lose. So not smart, Matt. Not playing a smart game. Next is Heidi. Heidi, again, played her shot in the dark, wasted it this early, and there's no way she was gonna be a target. Like I know she's nervous because it's the first vote, and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna play a shot in the dark," and even her allies are like, "I don't think you need to." And not only did she do that and kind of screw herself, but she may have. I mean, if she was planning on playing with Maddie going forward, which kind of seemed like she wanted to, Maddie's gone now because she didn't, vote. And granted, she probably would have been another vote on Brandon, so it would have been canceled anyway by the idol. But you played your shot in the dark for no reason. You were safe, which is great, but you didn't need it because you were getting any votes anyways, and you lost your top ally. So really not smart. Really not a good move at all. So I didn't like it. I thought it was just panicky and just making a move for the sake of making a move and not good. You gotta have some nerves of steel in this game, and she definitely did not do that. 2 left here. I'll talk about Danny. Danny, I'm gonna give him a thumbs down, a negative. Not for any reason. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. He's talking about how he feels for Bruce. We got hurt and everything like that. And he's a fireman. And he just seems like a nice guy. Kind of get JP Hilsa back, or even a maybe Mike from 2 seasons ago and Marianne's season. I don't know how good of the game he's going to be. I feel like he's just kind of another run of the mill kind of guy. So I'm gonna give him a thumbs down and negative for that. And then Jamie as well. I'm gonna give her a thumbs down because I don't even know who she is. I didn't even see her on the show. I mean, she might have been on for the screen for like 10 seconds, but obviously I can't give her a thumbs up if I didn't see her. So if I can't give her a neutral, I gotta give her a thumbs down. So she's getting a thumbs down this week. And finally, the player of the week this week is gonna be Brandon. Brandon's gonna get a two pluses for this week for his just basically for playing the idol correctly. For playing a slower game. He went out. He found. They all were looking for the key. He found the key. He was trying to be a nice guy and help the tribe because he wouldn't have told them if he wasn't trying to help the tribe. And then Maddie wanted to be sneaky, so he got rid of Maddie. The downside for Brandon is he didn't play the other who would have gone home with only 2 votes, but still would have gone home. So that tribe is in complete chaos, and now he doesn't have an idol anymore. But he sniffed it out. He played his idol. He's a huge asset in the challenges, and he overall, you save yourself with an idol play, and you're the only vote that takes somebody out. You gotta become player of the week. I mean, it's pretty hard not to be, if you do something like that. So he's playing. He can say, "Hey, you guys vote for me," but I'm with you. I'm loyal to you. That's why I showed you. He has a lot of things he can fall back on, and obviously, yes, he's a big physical threat. But Maddie was saying he's a big threat because he has an idol and he's a big physical threat. But the idol, obviously is gone now, so that threat level goes away a little bit. And he's a big physical threat, but he doesn't seem like he's that good at the game, right? He seems like it's kind of like Danny was on the season Erica won. A good physical player, strong player, strategic. Not really strategic, but a good physical player and a nice guy. I feel like that's what Brandon is. So I think he's not going to be a huge strategic threat. I think he'll get taken out near the end. and good at challenges, but I don't think that's going to really save him. So I think that's where we stand as far as that goes. So Brandon's my player of the week this week, and my winner pick still. So good for me. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/pavementroadprod. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends. Obviously, we'll get the next episode out here soon as well, and then we'll get the third one out within a couple days of that airing. So again, first the Survivor premiere week, a bunch of shows coming out as we get caught back up, and then we'll be good to go going forward. I'll keep this tally of who's doing what as far as pluses and minuses, thumbs up, thumbs down, and we'll have a little fun with that through the season as we go as well. And that way we can at least spend 2 seconds at least on everybody every week instead of just it's doing the top or bottom. So be sure to subscribe if you miss anything I said. We'll be back here shortly with the next episode, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. And thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing and telling your friends. Until next time, I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.